Hello and welcome to Connect and Collaborate. I am Alex Hopkins, your on air producer. And all week we have had the pleasure of talking with CEOs from different industries all over Colorado. And I'm very excited to have a recurring guest with me. His name is John Barry. He is the president and CEO of Wings Over the Rockies Aerospace Museum. How are you doing, John?
Alex, thank you again for inviting me back on the show.
Of course, our pleasure. And as you know, I'm a huge aviation nerd. It's in my blood. I was a flight attendant for many years. And I finally had to drop the shoe and give up that job. So I miss the skies for sure. But it's always a pleasure to speak with you on something that I personally am so passionate about.
We're excited to have you as part of our partnership, and the Blue Sky Gallery is always open to you, and we'll take you flying.
Oh, I
Let's get you
know.
back up.
I will be taking you up on that, particularly once I start really getting the withdrawals from missing out on the skies, right?
Right, exactly.
Well, John, I know that you were on with us, but let's give our audience a little bit of a background on you once again, because you didn't just become president and CEO of Wings Over the Rockies Air and Space Museum. You have an extensive military background on top of that, and clearly a passion for aviation as well.
Well, thanks, Alex. Very kind. Yes, after 30 years in the Air Force, retired as a two-star Major General in the United States Air Force. Fighter pilot, many assignments, Pentagon. Audience might be interested that I was the executive director and board member for the Columbia Accident Investigation Board, along with other teammates who are very important to make that thing happen. After I retired, I was working for a company called SAP for a little while, a couple of years, and then I was superintendent of Aurora Public Schools for 7, CEO of Boys and Girls Club here in the Denver metro area for almost 3, and now CEO and president of the Wings Over the Rockies. But I've been on the board with Wings for over 7 years. I was chair for 2, so even though I've only been the CEO for a year and a half, I'm pretty familiar with this wonderful organization I've been very proud to be part of.
Wonderful. And you know what? I have to admit, I did forget about your educational background, and I feel like you've used a lot of that here as the role of president and CEO at the museum, right?
Well, exactly. In fact, our mission is to inspire and educate people of all ages on aviation and space, past, present, and future. So the education part is a big, major effort on our to-do list here at the museum. But we are now one organization with 2 locations. We will always have Lowry for the heraldry and the history of aviation, and now at what we call exploration of flight at Centennial Airport. That is for the present and future for air and space.
That is exciting stuff, and that was one of the reasons I wanted to get you back on the show, right? Is because of your exploration of flight that opened July 20th. Is that correct?
That is correct. It was a great evening. Of course, we've been planning this for quite a while, and finally now we're vertical. We have a building. We have a facility that's open. But on that evening, it was very exciting because not only did we have jumpers coming out of airplanes, and we had air demonstrations for acrobatics for both the evening and, for about 7 o'clock at night and then at 9 o'clock at night. So we had kind of dusk and an evening show. But we also had great support by the governor, who's a co-chair, Governor Hickenlooper. Great credit to him for helping us all these many years. But also our co-chair was, the additional co-chair was Harrison Ford, who arrived in a helicopter, spent the evening with us, was very generous with his time, and incredibly supportive of what we're trying to do, Wings Over the Rockies, at exploration of flight at Centennial Airport.
That is amazing. So I personally was not able to make it to that opening, and I was so sad about that because then I saw my boss had gone, and he's got all these pictures with Harrison Ford, and I was like, no, the one day that I can't make it to an event outside of work, and Harrison Ford has to be there.
Both the governor and Harrison have been with us for, over 4 or 5 years now as co-chairs, and they were both delighted. Obviously, the governor for Colorado and Harrison because he's got a very strong interest in what we're doing out here in Colorado. So it's been an incredible delight to partner with both of them.
Oh, I would imagine. And I don't know how many of our audience members know this, but Harrison Ford's, he's been a pilot for many years. He's gotten into a couple of plane crashes himself.
He's had some, but one of the things that's highlighting for us is he was the chair for the Young Eagles program, which was started in 1993, and they tried. The goal was to fly 1 million young people in airplanes and general aviation aircraft by 2003, which was the 100th anniversary of the Wright brothers. And when I say we, all the small airports that are associated with the Experimental Aircraft Association at Oshkosh, Wisconsin, all of that group of airfields and airports and pilots volunteering their time for free and their airplanes and gas for free have flown now over 1 million by 2003, but now it's 2.2 million young people.
Wow, that is exciting stuff.
And Harrison Ford's been a big part of that all the way along. You're right.
Yes, yeah. That's awesome that you have such a great partnership with somebody with such a big name, right? And he can attest to the field of aviation and aerospace.
Yeah, we're all committed towards the education, especially since the fact that there's an amazing shortage of pilots, aircraft mechanics, air traffic controllers, engineers for aerospace. It's a tough challenge we have right now, but what an opportunity for young people. If any of your audience, young people, family members, want to encourage young people to get into aerospace, this is an incredible opportunity where the demand is just unbelievable right now, and it's going to even be larger as we move forward in the race to space, which, nobody can predict the future, but we know that China wants to go to the moon, and if that starts moving that way, we're going to go back. We're going to have a race, the opportunities, the monies, the exploration elements, the excitement, may be generated like it was in the 60s when we put the first man on the moon. So my encouragement to all the young people in the audience is to be able to, if you are interested in aerospace, you are going to have tremendous opportunities to be successful.
It is an amazing time right now. I feel like when I was in school and in elementary school and things like that, the only real job that I thought was possible in aerospace was being an astronaut, right? And that's simply just not true. There's tons of areas where you can get into the aerospace sector without just being an astronaut.
Oh, absolutely. And you're right, Alex. I mean, if you want to find your passion and it happens to be on aerospace, then, if you can be an astronaut, go for it. If you want to be a pilot, go for it. Engineer, air traffic control, go for it. You may be the accountant. You may be the lawyer. You may be, someone who is managing the Space Center at Kennedy Space Center. All those things are able. There's hundreds and hundreds of occupations that wrapped around aerospace, that if someone has that passion to go down that road, they will indeed have the opportunity.
100%. And I think we're on some cutting edge stuff. You mentioned we're going to explore some space some more. We know that we've got Mars base camp on the horizon. We know that we're probably going to visit the moon again. So exciting, exciting stuff happening. And I'm very honored to be a part of that, right? The Colorado community is huge in the aerospace industry.
No, exactly right. In fact, it's described that a lot of people don't know this in Colorado, that we are the second highest employed aerospace state in the nation, both per capita and total numbers. The only one that beats us, interestingly enough, is California. But we have all of the major aerospace companies, except a few, SpaceX that we'd love to have in Colorado sometime. When you talk about the Air Force and the Unified Space Command, and when you talk about the different Air Force bases, from the Air Force Academy to Buckley Air Force Base to Peterson to Schriever, when you're discussing all of the infrastructure that we have, and the fact that we may have an announcement here at the end of this month that the spaceport has been approved for Front Range Airport, which is also very exciting. The governor's been way behind supporting that as we move forward. And, people always chuckle when I say this, but we're a mile closer to space and when we're this high in the Rocky Mountain region. But that translates into millions of dollars. When you're trying to launch from Kennedy, when you're at sea level versus up at, the Rocky Mountain areas in Denver Metro, and maybe at the spaceport at Front Range Airport, you're a mile higher close to space. That saves you a lot of money when you do that. So interesting how that all can play out. But we're also promoting the aspect of an aerospace alley. Now, this is a takeoff on the challenge from one of our benefactors that said, I don't know if you're thinking big enough. How about a Silicon Valley for aerospace? A Silicon Valley for aerospace. So why not? Why can't we be the leading aerospace state in the nation? And we've come up with a term, actually, as a play off Silicon Valley, and that is Aerospace Alley.
I love it.
So, yeah, it's a good way of describing it. I think it does capture all the excitement that can be generated and is being generated here in Colorado.
It is being generated here. And you know what's so funny is that I've always known that we were a mile closer, but I did not recognize how much money that saves.
It's incredible. And the other thing that's kind of exciting is I usually tell young people that again, nobody can predict the future, but the best guess right now is the person who is going to walk on Mars for the first time is a teenager today. How cool is that?
That is like goosebump worthy, really. That's amazing stuff. I would like to think that maybe I can get my niece or nephew up there. That's goals for me.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, very exciting.
Yes. So I know that you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but if you wouldn't mind talking about this Young Eagles program in a little bit more detail, I think our audience would really appreciate what that's all about.
Well, we have a number of flying operations. Well, let me describe Blue Sky just briefly. You walk in, there's exhibits, there's simulators, there's opportunities to everything from a wind tunnel to being able to look virtual reality and actually fly with me in my airplane, but virtually. Then we have different kinds of things from listening to radio calls and being able to watch videos. It's really, and then you get to walk around on the main floor. We have a Stearman aircraft. We have a Cessna 172 that's unique because it's a turbo diesel aircraft, which is very unique. And then we have other things that come in, weekend extravaganzas as we move forward. But on flying, the Young Eagles program is we fly young people every third Saturday of every month. You go to our website to sign up. It's all for free, from children 8 years old up to 18. And all you got to do is show up. We give you a little instruction about the airplane, but you get a free flight. Pilots donate their own airplane, their own time, their own fuel every single month all around the country. We do ours at Centennial Airport at Exploration of Flight every time. The second flying program, oh, by the way, on the Young Eagles, you get a certificate, you get a picture, and all that's nice. You get a logbook. That's important because you can log your flight. But you get a free, now this is important, you get a free online $250 course that you can log into with a password to continue your ground training. And then if you finish that online course and you're 14 years or older, you can take the FAA exam. Now that's about $150, not cheap. But if you pass the test, we have a sponsor that will reimburse you that $150 and give you enough money for your first flight. Now that is exceptional support.
That is absolutely exceptional.
Yeah. And then we have the second flying program we have is a teacher flight program where we're trying to fly one teacher up and down the Front Range from every single school. So that's 1,600 schools. We've flown over 580 teachers now, well on our way to that goal of 1,600. They become our ambassadors. We give them curriculum. We provide them a free pass for every student in their school to come to Wings. And then we continue our association with them insofar as trying to keep them up to speed on what's going on in aerospace so they can get excited. Believe me, if teachers are excited, kids are going to get excited, and we're going to have a better understanding of what the art of the possible is.
Absolutely. I think it's wonderful that you have such amazing programs in place, particularly for these kids, right? We're trying to get excited again about aviation. As you mentioned, there is a huge pilot shortage. It's a problem all across the nation, whether it's commercial flying or in the supply chain, right? It's detrimental, really. And so I love that you're being able to get these kids passionate again and offering I just have to let our audience know how amazing it is that you're offering to give them their first flight, they can take the online course. You're giving them a free online access to their first course, and they can take the test and get reimbursed for the FAA test and essentially be able to have their first flight by the age of 14.
Yeah, it's amazing when you think about the fact that you can, if you want to fly gliders, this is an airplane obviously without an engine, but you can solo at 14 and get your license at 16. In powered aircraft, we have an engine. You can solo at 16 and have your license at 17. You might get all that before you even have your driver's license.
Which is so cool.
It is great. It is great. And it is in the art of the possible. The problem I have sometimes when I'm dealing with young people is they think this is an elitist opportunity. Only, the rich can do it, or, highest socioeconomic families. It's not true. Right? There's amazing opportunities. I've just described a bunch here with the Young Eagles program, Teacher Flight program. There's scholarships out there. There's amazing opportunities for people and young people to be able to take advantage of this great showcase that is out there. This is the time. This is the year. This is the era where we are going to expand even more and more. And with the great demand, it's going to be jobs are going to be waiting for young people.
Oh, absolutely. Hands down, there will be tons of jobs available for kids. And especially the earlier you get started with getting your license, the quicker you can start your career as a pilot.
Exactly.
Yes. So I have to ask you, I know that we talked about the opening weekend of Exploration of Flight, but and I have every reason personally to visit the Exploration of Flight, but give us, our audience, a little chunk of why it would be so great to visit.
Well, we're open right now only 3 days a week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're open from Friday from 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. On Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sunday, we're open from 12 to 5 p.m. When you walk in, hopefully you're not, you can find us, and the address is, 13005 Wings Way, Englewood, Colorado, 80112. You go to the website, you can find directions, you'll get the address. You can go, our website is wingsmuseum.org, and you can also go to Exploration of Flight, all one word, explorationofflight.org. So let's say you walk in the door. Now you're going to see a bunch of airplanes right there inside blue sky, and they'll be visiting airplanes. This Saturday we had an F-16. The F-16 flew 2 low passes, then landed, was there all day, and then flew out and did 3 low passes. We've had recently just a DC-3. You had the jet for Vision Jet from Cirrus Aircraft Corporation.
Yeah.
We have an electric airplane that's being built on Centennial Airport. We have Boom Technology, which is the next supersonic transport. We have XTI, which is kind of, think of a vertical takeoff, big drone carrying people, like go and get your Uber kind of deal. Those are being developed here. But you go through the exhibits, the simulators, the wind tunnel, the virtual reality I mentioned to you earlier. You go upstairs and you get a chance to watch a bunch of videos, and it's really a good introduction. Now, if that's not enough, you get to pre-flight a real airplane. I mean, actually sit in a real airplane. If that's not enough, we give you a tour of the airfield, where people don't even realize sometimes. I get a kick out of this, but had a young man who said, I was showing him some airports around the country, and he says, oh, that's runway 04. Where are the other 3? Not realizing that 04 is 040. Every runway is aligned with a compass.
Yes.
So 09, runway 09 would be 090, and runway 18 would be south 180, so forth. And then if that's not enough, when you come back, if you're a young eagle and age, you can fly, or teacher flight, you can fly on our days when we do that. And then even we have partnerships with Aspen Flying Club, where they will take you up for a discovery flight that day if you want. We can arrange it ahead of time if you want on the website, but if you just show up, we can call them up and they can set up a discovery flight. So there's a lot of opportunities to do very exciting things. This is aviation. And you can just imagine what we're going to do in black sky for space. Go to the moon, then go to Mars, then go to deep outer space. Those two combined, aviation and space, will all be on one campus. And we're working now to raise the money so we can continue the capital campaign for black sky.
Yes, that you actually jumped right in and segued for me. I was going to ask. So we know we have the Blue Sky Gallery that's a part of Exploration Flight, and then we're going to have the Black Sky Gallery, which is focused more on the aerospace. So do we have any dates for that? What are we thinking?
Well, we've got a major donor. This is we have for black sky, where we already have about almost 2 million raised, and that's Sierra Nevada. Then we still have a little ways to raise the rest of the money for capital campaigns. So we're hoping in the next year or two that we can have that complete. We're also planning to put K-12 on our campus, maybe a middle school here as early as maybe next year. We're talking to higher ed universities, both for aircraft mechanic licenses as well as four-year institutions. There's already some contact we have with the National Aviation Hall of Fame in Dayton, Ohio, where they've already put some stuff in our museum that supports aerospace. So think of it as a campus, a blue sky, a black sky. There'll be K-12 representation. There'll be higher ed education. There'll be all these activities happening on an airfield unique to the nation, and which is even as exciting for us as anything else, is this can be replicated in any city or state in the nation that can help serve as a model on how it can be done so we can help, this pilot shortage, aircraft maintenance shortage, air traffic control shortage.
Do you have any other states that are curious yet, or that have bitten to see what we're doing so that they can replicate that?
Right, and we've had calls from the states of Ohio, Washington, Oregon, and Arizona, and even within the state of Colorado, Greeley and a couple other airfields that are on here in our great state have also expressed interest. So now that we're up and running and we've got something they can feel and touch and see, it's going a long way to maybe demonstrating what the art of the possible is as we move forward. So we're excited about sharing as much as we possibly can with anybody who comes forward.
That is amazing. So, John, we have about 2 minutes left in this segment. I just got to ask you, so far since you've been president and CEO of Wings Over the Rockies Air and Space Museum, I mean, you've got a lot accomplished and under your belt at this time. Is there any story that resonates with you that you just need to share?
Well, one is there's been a lot of people who have been planning this for years on trying to make this a reality. And Greg Anderson, my predecessor, he's a 72 grad from the Air Force Academy. I'm a 73 grad, and he says that anything I've ever accomplished in my life I owe to him. So certainly from the standpoint of his vision to make this a something that we could sink our teeth into, and now a reality, it's just been an honor and a privilege to be part of the board here that we have at Wings Over the Rockies. The incredible supporters and sponsors that have donated millions of dollars to make this a reality. All combined, it really speaks to a public and a private partnership, a partnership between a museum and an airfield. Centennial has been great. Robert Olswager, who is the CEO for the airport, has been incredibly supportive, as his commissioners are. And also the fact that we're going to have partnerships with the 200 plus companies that are on Centennial, that 10,000 employees for internships and externships and job shadowing and mentoring and Saturday programs, all for the benefit of our young people. So when we think about Aerospace Alley, when we think about Centennial Airport, when we think about Wings Over the Rockies and Exploration of Flight, this is all a community team that is working together to the benefit of our great nation as well as our great state in Colorado.
Well said, John. I appreciate your time today. It has been great having you on. I'm so glad we got this follow-up interview for the Exploration of Flight, opening your Blue Sky Gallery. We're looking forward to hearing about the Black Sky Gallery when you get there. We'll be in touch for that. But thank you, John. It's been great talking with you.
It's been an honor. Alex, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day here on Connect and Collaborate. Be sure to like and subscribe our YouTube page while you're here. Check out cobrt.com/radio-podcast for this show and more, as well as wingsmuseum.org. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.